Hello, you lovely listeners. I'm Amy. Welcome to the Really Good Conversations podcast, where we will delve into the minds of the business people we have met in the process of launching our first card game. We will be uncovering their secrets to success, their biggest mistakes, and sharing the key lessons they have picked up en route. So, if you're looking for an engaging chinwag mixed with business insights and a good pinch of fun, you're in the right place. Let's have a really good conversation. Welcome to the Really Good Conversations podcast. Today I have Charlotte Walsh joining me from the Silicone straw company in the UK. Welcome, Charlotte.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
You are very welcome, and I'm so delighted to be chatting to you today because it was funny, you came into my world quite early on in our journey when one of our first stockists in Great Ayton, Bramble and Lulu, they actually showed me your straws in the store.
Oh.
And it was when they were telling us, Jill and Grant, and they were suggesting we, look at trade shows, and they were saying, check out Charlotte, check out Silicone Straw Company. She's had an amazing journey and we love the product, etc., etc. So that's how I'd first heard about you, and then obviously had the pleasure of saying hello at the Harrogate gift show. Tell us a little bit about Silicone Straw Company and what inspired you to launch this business.
Okay, thank you. So I am a female engineer. I live in the Yorkshire Dales with my 3 young children, and I've always been passionate about the environment, but also because of my background in manufacturing and engineering, I've always wanted my own product-based business. And so about 4 or 5 years ago now, when I was out on a walk with the children and my husband, I just noticed that there was just so much rubbish around. It was a sunny afternoon. People had left a lot of litter down by the river. I was also quite conscious that there was going to be a single-use plastic straw ban introduced by the UK government. And I knew that was on the horizon, and I just thought, let's just go for it. Let's design and develop a product that will help with the single-use waste issue and also be helpful to families. So that's where the idea came from, really, and that's where it all started.
Fantastic. And I'm a big supporter of this sort of thing. And we were chatting, obviously, before we hit record on this, of, it equally infuriates me how you see people have quite intentionally left their rubbish. Whether you see it on the country lanes and they've thrown the fast food out of the car window, or, you actually can see people just get up and leave all of their, picnic or food stuff. And, I just think, where do they think that is going? Who do they think is going to come and clean that up for them? It really baffles me. And I'd love to know, I know neither of us are experts in this space of what actually goes through people's minds. So it is awesome that you're on this journey that hopefully will educate people and make them stop and think when they are having their picnic.
Yeah, it's just I aim to give people a choice, so an easy and a convenient choice. So I've started small. I make reusable straws. At the moment, it is only reusable straws, but it is a convenient alternative to a single-use item. So I just think the convenience is key here for people. So I think a lot of people do litter because it's not convenient for them to take their litter home. If they're going to then walk on and do a walk and they know there's not a bin anywhere along the way, they will just leave their litter. Some people will leave their litter. And so, convenience is key, I think, in trying to encourage people to live a little bit more sustainably.
Yeah. And you've obviously produced the product in the UK as well. How have you found producing these straws?
Quite difficult, actually. So I had the idea, and then I thought that it would be relatively easy to get some straws manufactured in the UK, but it was actually really challenging. I had to find a manufacturing partner that had the facilities, had all the required certification and regulatory requirements, and that would also be willing to take a chance on me and my idea, basically. So that did take a little bit longer than what I had hoped. But I have obviously found a manufacturer. I'm really happy with them. I have a great relationship with them, and they've supported me along the way as I've grown.
How complex is it to do something that requires the food safety element?
So it is quite complex, and the manufacturer will have to have certain certification and abide to certain standards. But because of my background, so I have a 15 years experience in the manufacturing of medical devices. So at the time I was quite knowledgeable. So I knew specifically just from manufacturers' websites if they would be able to manufacture what I needed.
Oh, excellent for you to have that knowledge. Because when I was preparing for this and I was thinking, of our journey in manufacturing, with the cards, I was thinking, at the end of the day, nobody's actually consuming these and digesting them. So to add on that whole requirement is obviously far more complex in the production process.
Yes.
And I mean, we're obviously very passionate about producing in the UK. Do you feel it's a sustainable option to continue producing in the UK?
So over the last 18 months, I've noticed a massive increase in the costs of my silicone straws. And for me, it's really important that I can manage the quality of the straws. So what they're made from, the consistency between batches is something that is really important to me. So for me, the quality outweighs the cost, should I say. Yeah. So I need it to be very good quality. And I think my customers want the quality. So I will try and manufacture in the UK for as long as I can without them being kind of like a ridiculously expensive straw.
I know. And that really you're ending up just giving them out for free.
Yeah. I'm that passionate, you see, so I'll do it.
You might well. Yeah. And that's the reality, We've had another increase from Royal Mail just at the beginning of April. So it's all these other costs that obviously impact product-based businesses that, people perhaps don't necessarily know or realise. There's so many other layers than just the actual item itself.
Yeah, there is. So, for example, my bestseller is a reusable straw in a little travel tin, and every single one of the components has gone up in price. But I've been working really hard behind the scenes to keep the costs down. So, for example, it's a straw, a tin, and historically it was two labels, a label on the top and a label on the bottom, and the label on the top kind of swung around and created like a little anti-tamper seal. So in the background, what I've done is worked with my label manufacturer to actually create that into one label, and that's shaved quite a lot off the price because it's a lot cheaper to manufacture one larger sticker than it is to manufacture two smaller stickers. So in the background, I am working my socks off to keep the costs down for the customers. And I think by being innovative like that, there are certain things that as brands we can do. But unfortunately, there are other costs that are just fixed and there's nothing we can do about them.
Yeah, exactly. Fun times ahead. But what is a positive is that the plastic straw ban, single-use plastic straw ban, has now come into the UK. So that is a big win. However, the paper ones have not been banned. Yeah. So what's your thoughts about that, as obviously someone in the straw industry?
So the plastic straw ban, as you say, has been introduced. Now, there are some individuals that are exempt from that ban. So, for example, if the straw is being used for medical enabling purposes, then that's fine. It can still be a plastic straw. So you will see plastic straws available in pharmacies and in some hospitals and things. And some users are exempt, like some users can buy them and use them, and that's no problem at all. And it is suggested that it is because at the time there wasn't a suitable reusable alternative for them. So for me, paper straws are useless.
Well, I think you were looking for the polite term there. I could see on your face. And in my head, I was thinking, I don't think I've ever got through a whole drink with a paper straw intact. No. I think it ends up splitting halfway through it, and then you have to get rid of it. And then it's got this...
Yeah. The kids eat the end off it, or it disintegrates. But for me, this is a great way to start a conversation with a customer, because all I have to say is, paper straws, or just suggest or hint at a paper straw, and then instantly they say, oh my god, they go soggy, we hate them. And this is the real problem and the pain point that customers are experiencing now. Paper straws are not suitable for young children or many people, anybody really who wants to enjoy a full drink. And so this is where my convenient reusable straws come into play.
And I really liked, actually, you've got a post on your Instagram, and it was a little graph that actually is a comparison chart between the alternatives of paper, bamboo, glass, metal. And that resonated when I looked at that, because I was like, God, I have had sometimes a glass one or metal one, but then that just feels so uncomfortable on your teeth when you then use those ones, those alternatives as well.
Yes, so there are a lot of reusable straws on the market, but equally they all have barriers. So I'm coming at this as a mum. So I've got 3 young children, so I couldn't give them a glass straw. Realistically, I wouldn't really want to give them a metal straw. The bamboo straws I've found tend to go a bit mouldy in the middle if you don't dry them thoroughly. And so all of these are kind of like restrictive. So that I think my straws fulfill the needs of everybody in all different situations. They can be used with hot and cold drinks. They go in the dishwasher. They can be cut short. So I feel that my straws fill the gaps that the other reusable straws on the market leave behind.
What would you say to people who might think that producing reusable silicone or plastic alternatives is just as bad as like single-use items? So, for example, the coffee cup. We've all got the reusable coffee cup. Now, we've probably all got quite a lot of these reusable coffee cups at home. So there's still obviously a lot of manufacturing required to make these reusable coffee cups as well. But then we're all still out also using the normal coffee cups. So, is it still better to be having the reusable versions, do you think, than obviously just the mountain of the single use? Is the manufacturing production any better?
Yeah, so I do quite a lot of research into this, specifically for straws. So on average, it's suggested that every person in the UK will use 120 straws, like single-use straws, a year.
Wow.
So if you think that 120 single-use straws need to be manufactured, transported, and then, disposed of, compared to using a reusable straw multiple times. That reusable straw has been manufactured once, it's been transported once, and then reused multiple times by the consumer. And so even just using a reusable straw in half of your drinks every year, or just a few of your drinks every year, will make a difference.
Wow, that is a great insight, because I was always very good with my reusable coffee cup, and then obviously COVID hit and then no one was accepting them. So I used to take it everywhere, and then I just got completely out of the habit of taking my cup. And then I was back to using the coffee cups from the coffee shop. And I thought, God, I've just got out of that habit of taking it with me. So yeah, and obviously all of the additional waste with our eras of masks as well during that time. It just feels like really we need to be getting back at putting in these sort of better habits to be conscious of what we're using.
Yeah. And I think some places are more accepting now of the reusable cups, and I've seen some places that they don't touch the cup, so they put your cup in a little holder, fill the cup, and then you take your cup out, so it is safe for everybody, and that is better for the environment than the single-use cups and things.
I love that you've also got a recycling scheme as part of the business. Have you learned any, I guess, just key facts or interesting information of what actually goes into like the recycling process with, I guess with all of our waste? If you think of at home, some places you're mixing recycling, some places you're separating it, but it is like, where does it all go? And is it actually all getting recycled as, in the manner it's supposed to?
So my recycling scheme is in partnership with a company called TerraCycle, and TerraCycle recycle things that are a little bit more complex to recycle. So my silicone straws can't just go in the normal recycling bin. So I encourage customers to send them back to me so I can recycle it on their behalf with TerraCycle. And what TerraCycle do is they will effectively melt the straws down and then turn it into something useful. So I don't have a large enough batch yet to send into them, which is a good thing, because I don't have very much waste. As I mentioned earlier, I like to keep a tight control on the quality of the product. So it means I don't have many rejects and things like that when I'm assessing the manufacturing product, like the products that come in.
Oh, brilliant.
So but when I do, they will be transformed into something useful.
You touched on that you've got 3 young children. So obviously we've got a little boy ourselves now, but how have you found developing this business over the last few years with also having those 3 little ones as well?
So it's been really, really difficult. And I was talking to a friend the other day about how I managed it during COVID. So just before COVID happened, I had my third little boy. And during COVID, I would get up in the mornings and work from 6 o'clock in the morning till 9 a.m. And that was kind of like my 3 hours of dedicated work time. And then at 9 a.m., my husband's work would officially start. So I'd then have the children from 9 a.m. onwards. So it was almost like we were working in shifts. So I'd do the mornings and he'd do the daytimes. But it was just a juggle, and it remains a juggle to this day. I find it really, really difficult being home-based and switching between being a mum and being a business owner. But I just do it really. I think it helps because the kids love the product. So they're referred to as mummy straws in our house. And whenever we go into shops and they're stockists of mine, the kids are delighted to go and find the straws on the shelves. And they are very, very proud of what I do. And so I suppose that helps because they're interested in the product.
Oh, that's lovely. And I guess, from them sort of understanding, what you're sort of doing, or they're seeing it, it's like, oh, well, mummy's working now. They're kind of like, okay, they can get what you're sort of, and they're excited about it as well.
Yeah. And also I've been into their school a couple of times as well to do talks. So it was Science Week a couple of weeks ago. So I went in and did a lesson on the science behind straws. And that was really exciting. And they were really proud and really, I don't know, just it was really lovely to see them telling their friends about me and the products. It was really nice. So having the kids actually does help in some situations.
But the rest of it's all a sort of a blend, shall we say?
Yes, a juggle, and just, sometimes there are really late nights where I have got a lot of work to do, or a lot of orders to get out, and I just work late into the night to get it done.
Yeah. On your journey so far, what stands out to you perhaps as some things that have, really worked for you and your business, and then perhaps some things that stand out of either just stuff that hasn't worked or was a big challenge / headache?
So for me, what has worked for me is taking it slowly. So I bootstrap my company. So that means that I make a little bit of money, I spend a little bit of money. So along the way, I've slowly but surely developed my packaging, I've developed my website, I've developed my photography, I've developed my copy, little by little it has grown, and little by little I've reinvested the money back into the business. So for me, that's worked really well, because it means that I'm now established and I don't have any debt associated with the company. So some startups I know have jumped in with both feet, took out massive business loans, and are struggling. So that wouldn't be an approach that I would recommend to anybody starting up. I would recommend dip your toe in, start slowly, and, just enjoy the journey, really, because it has been, all those things I've mentioned have been really, really exciting at different stages along the way. Challenges, there are a whole list that I could go into.
I should have just started with that question. That could have been the whole episode.
So, running a small business is extremely challenging, and something that I didn't anticipate being so difficult. Every day, not almost every day, I would say every day there is another challenge to overcome. Whether it's small challenges like Royal Mail putting their prices up, or larger challenges such as logistical issues of getting a pallet load of stock into like Oliver Bonus, for example. How am I physically going to do that from my small home office? So getting the larger orders is really exciting, but it comes with its challenges as well. And every single day as small business owners, I just think we just get used to having these challenges, and it's just part of the journey, and we just somehow overcome it, and then we just carry on going. But I think one thing that does help is having a network around you of people that you can talk to who are in a similar situation. So I have about 5 or 6 WhatsApp groups full of other small business owners who I've met at different points along my journey, and those chats are always very interesting. Like, we share our successes, we share our failures, we share our challenges, and 9 times out of 10 there is somebody who can help you, or somebody who has been in that situation before, to just offer you a little bit of reassurance. So what we all need to do is just lean into our networks a little bit more and just ask for help, I think, specifically this year in particular.
That's a brilliant tip. And I can see just from what you get involved with, you've obviously been part of things to do with the Small Business Sunday. You've just been to the US with the Department of Trade.
Yeah, that's right.
So, you're clearly also quite active as putting yourself out there to be part of some of these also business initiatives.
Yeah, so this year I've decided to apply for everything and anything, because I've told myself this is the year to be rejected. And I've heard somebody said this before. It was either on a podcast or I'd read it somewhere, and it really stuck with me, because as a small business owner, I'm quite often nervous to be rejected. So I'm nervous to talk to customers in case they don't like my product, or I'm nervous to talk to customers in case I don't know, I physically can't get a pallet worth of product to them. And so sometimes I think the nerves and the reluctance to be rejected stops us.
Yes,
so this year I've told myself I'm going to apply for everything. So it's the year of being rejected. That's what
I love that.
And oh my God, I am so good at getting rejected now. I get rejected all the time, but my skin is so thick. But it has honestly opened up doors to me that I never would have dreamt of if I wouldn't have just got a thick skin and just, applied. So you've just mentioned that I've recently been to America with the Department of Trade, and that was because of one of their initiatives to help women export. So it's encouraging women specifically to export more. And that's been a fantastic program, but I never would have got it if I hadn't have just applied.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And it's funny because even with this podcast, I actually reached out to, I don't know if you're familiar with Bob Iger, who's the CEO of Disney. And he's got a fantastic book called Ride of a Lifetime, which I actually read a few years ago. And it is the story of Disney and his whole career journey. And it's fascinating. So I was like, well, Bob Iger would be fantastic to have on the podcast. And obviously, in my head, I'm writing this email to Disney media team, thinking. Now, obviously, I got a no. They were like, I don't think we can make that work. What did they say with his schedule or something like that? It was obviously a bit of a polite no. And I was like, no problem at all, because we can record them remotely. So I was like, if an opportunity arises down the line. But there's also an element of just, as you said, giving it a go, putting it out there to the universe. Yeah. And I actually also read just actually the other day in a book, and it was saying, people, when you get told no, or whether that might be no, we haven't got the promotion, or no, we don't want to stock the product, or no, whatever. They were saying to actually think of it as just, it's not a no forever, as in from everybody. It's just a no at that time from that particular person in that place.
Yeah.
And when you just sort of break it down to be those points, it's like, okay, well, someone else might say yes.
Yeah. I think the problem now with small business owners is we take everything so personally because this is our life. We put everything into running the business that sometimes rejection can cut a little bit more deep.
Absolutely,
it's the persistence. It is the persistence. So if I was you, I'd just keep emailing those big, those big people, and just what can I? All I can say is no.
Oh, exactly.
One thing that I did do recently is I persisted with a journalist. So when I first started out, there was an article on the BBC Good Food Guide website that was quite damning towards reusable silicone straws. So it was an article where they'd reviewed a lot of reusable straws on the market. And at that time, I wasn't on the market. And so their comments of, silicone straws are too floppy, they're too flimsy, was true at that time. So it took me 4 years of kind of trying to email, sending samples, the editor changing roles. So I then had to work out who now I needed to contact. But, persistence did pay off. And in December 2023, that article was updated to say that it's now been brought to our attention that better reusable silicone straws exist. And then there's a lovely backlink to my website from there. So what I would say is, you're right. No doesn't always mean a no. And also silence doesn't mean a no. It means that they just haven't replied to you yet. So follow-ups are key.
Thank you for sharing all of that with us. Now, what I'm going to do, and obviously what I like to do with all guests, is to play a couple of cards from Really Good Conversations pack.
Brilliant.
So I've got some from the nervous brilliant there. So this is from our first edition pack. So I've got 3 questions. So question number 1, What was there to do when you were a teenager?
It's going to be really boring because I had a very sheltered teenage life. And so I went to a lot of extracurricular activities, mainly dancing. So 4 times a week I would go dancing. So ballet, tap, modern, you name it. I was there after school doing my dance lessons. So there wasn't much mischief to get up to almost. On a Sunday night, I went to the local youth club, and that was it, really. So there wasn't much to do apart from dance.
Where did you grow up?
In Liverpool.
And do you still dance now?
No, but I do actually think I should start and see if I can get my TikTok viewings up. But then I just worry. The reason why I don't dance on TikTok is because I then worry that I've got to stand in front of a potential customer at a trade show, and then I'd just be really embarrassed if they'd see me dance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely though. Yeah, I mean, I love generally now, having a good dance just with some, music sort of party vibe. But my ballet career was short-lived because I did do it when I was at school, but I actually got expelled for not paying attention I think that was the sort of reason. It was
too busy chatting.
I think that was actually the issue. So I remember when I think I went in with the check and the tutor wrote on the back of the envelope, a message from my mother, which was kind of like, we don't think Amy should be coming back. But I did then do some stuff later. As a teenager, did some of the stuff then. So obviously it was with my younger years. So question number 2.
Yeah.
If you came with a warning label, what would it say?
She's enthusiastic. So it's something that I hadn't noticed in myself before now until running a small business. But a lot of people do say to me, "Oh, I love how enthusiastic you are." So yeah, I'm enthusiastic probably about anything that comes my way. I'm really enthusiastic about.
Oh, but that's brilliant. That is a brilliant quality. I think it obviously has made you memorable and in a positive light. You're positively enthusiastic. Or even if it's a negative, but you're still enthusiastically giving a negative comment.
No, 99% of the time it is positive. Yeah, I am quite a positive person. Well, I say that, but within my small business, I can be quite negative sometimes.
It's a bit of that. Depends what day of the week you ask me.
Yeah. And how many other issues I've had to face on that day as to how I will react.
Question number 3. What do you think is the biggest challenge we face as a society right now?
Ooh, I'm going to be bold and throw it out there. Childcare, I think, is a massive issue for families and specifically women, because it does tend to be the women that, are the homemakers, and a lot of the responsibilities do fall to. I have a remarkably fantastic husband who is massively supportive. We have a great school, we have a great preschool and things. So I know I am fortunate, but I do just see childcare and childcare costs as a massive, massive issue in the UK at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's great actually highlight, because we're in that boat right now. Our little one's 2.5. So yes, it goes to the daycares. And I mentioned in passing, to my dad what the cost of it was. And he was like, "You what? You're joking."
Yeah.
I was like, no, like in your, almost such a generation out of touch.
Yeah.
To your point, to encourage families to perhaps give a startup business a go when you're perhaps needing to outlay the cost of childcare can also feel like an unachievable thing.
It's really difficult, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, you survived the 3 questions, so they were fantastic answers. But the finishing question that I'd love to know from you is, if you could ask any person a question who's dead or alive, who would it be and what would you ask them?
Okay, so it would be Karen Brady. So in my eyes, she is a really successful businesswoman, but she is also a mother as well. So I'd love to have a conversation with her all around how she juggles it all. You know, how does she switch from being in the boardroom one minute to dealing with children and school bake sales and lost PE jumpers the next? Do you know what I mean? Because it does take it's draining trying to be everything to everybody all at once and run a business. So just really how she juggles it, if she's got any tips or if she's got any techniques that she uses so that she can be present when she is a mum and present when she is in the boardroom or dealing with, you know, the corporate world.
Brilliant question. And yes, I would love to know those tips as well. If you get an answer on them, do let me know. Well, Charlotte, thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it. You have shared so much insight and knowledge into your world. And where can people find out more about you and more about the Silicone Straw Company?
So over on my website, which is www.thesiliconestrawcompany.co.uk, or also on Instagram, and the handle is just at the Silicone Straw Company. Or if you're feeling really exotic and want to see me dancing, over on TikTok too, and that's at the Silicone Straw Company. You'll find me over there as well.
Fantastic. Well, I'll include all of those links in the show notes as well. So thank you so much again for your time.
Oh no, thank you. It's been really good. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Be sure to check out the show notes for more information on today's guests, and if really good conversations are your thing, hit subscribe and join us next time for more business journeys, insights and banter.